Allow me to introduce you to solutions to stupidity. Solutions to stupidity. Not asking for help when needed. Ask for help when you need help. Ignoring or not using intuition when needed. Attention to all your senses, people, and things. Like noise, smells, touch, sight, the temperature of handshakes, facial expressions, body language, avoiding a subject, blink rate, digital flexion, hand movements, chin tuck, sleight of hand, intentions, emotions, feelings, mood, tone of voice, your own emotions, grooming, and more. Not planning out actions. Have a strategy and a step-by-step plan. Write it down. Stick to your plan unless you have to change it. Not having plans prepared for situations that may arise. Have a plan for certain situations that you can predict. Overreacting. Do not overreact. You don't want to overkill. Control your emotional and even rational reactions. Don't overdo anything. Hesitation. Waiting to react might make the difference in whether any reaction is going to be successful. Being foolish. Don't laugh at serious things. If there is danger, take it seriously. Risk-taking. Don't take uncalculated risks. Taking on too much for the experience level. Ask for help if you do not know what or how to do it. Not realizing the costs of a task. Get estimates and research how much something is going or could cost you. Failure to set goals. Set attainable goals to be completed in an allotted amount of time. Disregarding authority. Respect and pay attention to your actions and ensure your actions and attitude line up with authority. Failure to prioritize. Prioritize your goals and your tasks. Complete goals and tasks in the best calculated order. Work from top to bottom, for example, with remodeling. Conflicts in belief. All your beliefs should match up with your overall attitude, purpose, and goals. Not asking for clarity. Ask questions if things are not completely clear. You need to understand exactly what is expected or what you need to know for a decision. Acknowledge. When someone asks you to do something, acknowledge you understand what they want. Repeat what they ask back to them. Daydreaming when attention is measured. Pay attention when people are paying attention to you, performance or accomplishments. Overworking. Do not distract yourself from the big picture when working. Get and lead a balanced life. Family time, meditation time, entertainment time, sleep time, exercise time, etc. Making assumptions based on simple facts or appearances. Realize on fact is not enough to make an informed decision, and there may be exceptions to a determining factor. Overlooking key factors. All factors are important to consider. Failure to realize conflicts. For example, they see Jesus made wine, yet disregard don't get drunk. So, it is okay to drink and they drink too much. Failure to see the importance. Recognize the importance of certain factors. Disregarding importance. You have to calculate the importance of factors. Failure to meet needs. Ensure needs are being met to reach your ultimate goal and purpose. Sometimes this takes diligent day-to-day time and management. Remember, you can delegate management. Harming others with carelessness, gossip, violence, bad advice, theft, and other ways. Do not break the law and do not put yourself in jeopardy of a civil lawsuit. Failure to take advantage of an opportunity. Always be prepared to jump on a good opportunity. Sometimes an opportunity only comes once in a lifetime. Having all or nothing thinking. Sometimes you need to compromise and accept you are not going to get the deal you wanted and the way you wanted. Sometimes you have to give a little. All or nothing thinking. You could be missing out on the deal of a lifetime. Sometimes to suggest a compromise is a wise decision. Failure to organize. Remember to keep everything categorized and cross-referenced. Failure to see limitations. Calculate the limitations. Use old data to predict performance capabilities. Failing to love. If you hate a person instead of the previous action, you could end up being enemies for life. Be willing to accept every chance that people may have changed and not start of your next meeting with bitterness and an ungracious attitude. It could have happened with someone you know right now. As you are reading this, that person you hated may have decided to not only change but make up for all their violating trespasses. Unethical. Be ethical. To be unethical is bad propaganda for yourself and very detrimental. Consider values, attitudes, and personal philosophy, emotions caused. New thoughts to consider are creativity, imagination, discovery, reflection, empathy, connecting, knowing, feminist theory, subjectivity, ambiguity, and inconclusiveness. Fully use all your senses and calculate risks. Don't make jokes about something that could be serious. Impulses. Impulses are bad because in this type of situation, you are usually doing what you want and are guided by your emotions, and usually it goes against a decision you made prior to not doing the impulse due to a more important reason than your rationalization will tell you. Revenge is just a waste of time. For one, you are not setting an example, and two, there is no guarantee it will make a positive difference. It is likely to make things worse and a back and forth harm for one another. Oppression. What's fair is fair. Don't bite the hand that feeds you. Don't try to trap someone into doing things for you because they have to and not what they want to do. Instead, encourage and motivate people with rewards and evidence. Lack of clarity in speaking or writing. Expand your vocabulary. Improvise. Use your feelings as evidence to express your views and perspective on subjects. Increase and lower volume and high and low tones. Take a pause to allow emphasized words to soak in. Pay attention to your mood. If you can change it, your audience won't be in a negative state of contagious moods. Do not disqualify the good things. Appreciate and take notice of the good things. McDonald's advertises the amount of Big Macs sold. Do not disqualify the good things. Do not overemphasize or underestimate things. Yes, hype up things or discredit things. Do not use words that suggest your work is not done or won't be done. Like, do not use the words should, must, ought, attempt, maybe, and try. Use words like must, have to, and will, and don't say failure, can't, didn't, won't when referring to yourself. It is like a curse. You use the wrong words to describe you or your goals. You have convinced yourself in a negative light. Do not personalize blame or blame individuals. Just like a car accident, there may be many factors involved. Once you have voiced your opinion and suggested a fix and there is an agreement to solve the problem, let it go. Don't hound someone. It shows lack of confidence in them and yourself. Holding grudges. If you hold a grudge, don't believe you can hide that. It is not cohesive to hold a grudge when things need to move on. Not believing in yourself, lack of your confidence. Look at life as a learning experience. Everyone makes mistakes. The ones who don't make many mistakes are the ones who believe in themselves and learn from their mistakes instead of letting their mistakes convince them they have a lasting problem. Not having faith your work will pay off. Make your work pay off. Sell your worth. Lack of motivation. Drugs don't help with motivation. Reflecting on successes and rewarding yourself for the does. Hold off on buying something for yourself until you have succeeded in a goal. Procrastination. Imagine yourself taking that first step to achieving a goal. It helps get your heart rate up and prepares you. Also, imagine how good you will feel about yourself accomplishing that goal. Then, take that first step. Failure to listen. There are people who learn the easy way, listening, and those who learn the hard way, doing. Listen not only to what people have said and you have accepted. Listen to your inner voice. Maybe ask, what would my father say? Failure to decipher. Ask why in any given circumstance. Notice trends and patterns. Get your information from facts. Put two and two together. Failure to fit the pace. It is good to get into the same pace as everyone else. Talking or doing fit the pace with others. To set yourself apart is selfish. Failure to comprehend, focus and include yourself in the conversation or surroundings. Lay your opinion on the table, voice it. Feel the importance of the information or circumstance. Ask how it makes you feel in a situation and receiving information. It is not only that you comprehend it, it is whether people know you are comprehending as to whether you are stupid or not. Failure to observe. Be aware. Take a mental note or write down important aspects of what is going on. Failure to measure. Everyone should especially do this with their budget. Measure how much is going out and how much is coming in. How long it takes. How much you can perform. How strong you are. How determined you are. How confident you are. Disregarding. Don't ever forget. Women get flake for this, but they are smart not to disregard things. They say a woman has a memory like an elephant and they never forget. Good for them. Don't discredit something because it happened a long time ago or is less likely to happen again. Never let your guard down by disregarding things. Failure to react. We need to react at some point and the best time is now. If you don't react, someone might assume you don't care. If you don't care, they don't care and it continues to happen. Being enthralled. Don't get so focused on something you can't be safe. Being oblivious. Pay attention. Be observant. Take note and reflect upon your surroundings and goings on. Failure to see potential energy. For example, a mob could fall in the way, or a policeman's support. No ingenuity. Ingenuity does come at a cost. The cost is you need it. You don't have the tools to do the job. Ask yourself what you have that could get it done. Whether it be friends, a repair shop, a loan with no interest for 6 months, YouTube.com, the bank, refee with cashback, the internet, a screwdriver, and a hammer. Whatever means available you have at your disposal to get a task or overall goal accomplished is using your ingenuity. Lack of wide-minded consideration. Think outside the box. There are large determining factors to consider besides the ones seen around you or on the surface. Like the ones you see in people around you, but tomorrow everything could change with the release of certain facts or circumstances. Failure to see exceptions. There are general rules, but there are always exceptions to every rule. Everyone needs to consider. Reason with emotion considered. Now it is good to consider the emotions of others when reasoning, but to use your own emotion can be dangerous. For one thing, it may be predictable. You may overreact, you might break the law, you might make an enemy, and all sorts of other problems can arise when reasoning with emotion. Emotionally charged people are not rational. Do not label others or yourself, and if you label others in a bad light, you are disrespecting them. It is actually slanderous. Do not base your opinion on one event. There are always multiple factors involved in every situation and you need to find out what they are. It can seem like there was only one contributing factor, but there may be exceptions to your rule. For example, sales go up at Christmas time. Yes, but what is going to affect how much? You may want to invest in something other than retail, not invest just because Christmas time sales go up. 2022 inflation happened at 8.7%, underestimated, and sales were down for Christmas 30%. It looked good to invest in retail because Christmas time sales have always gone up. Yeah, gone up from the other months of the year. Looks good. It is only one event. Do not generalize. Overgeneralizing is bad because of the same reason. Multiple factors are involved and there are exceptions to every rule. Ego. Don't let your ego get in the way. Your ego is overconfidence, and overconfidence looks bad when you try to use it to satisfy such an ego. Lack of confidence. Self-confidence is important and people may have a lack of confidence for many reasons, But everyone has a gift and all gifts are immeasurable. Lazy or unwilling to act on needed changes. These people are probably overeaters, gluttony, or lack a balanced life. They probably don't exercise. They probably feel terrible and eat sugar. Every step and every lift of the finger is a strenuous thing for them. They may also be sad or depressed and need to be more resilient. They take the path of least resistance. They are unsuccessful. Lack of rationality. Calculate or measure and consider reason, patterns, limits, or logic behind your decision-making. Inability to make up, apologize / explain / change / reassure / prove to make up with the foe, enemies. Spellbound. Nothing should impress you. Everything is possible except it. The moon might be a satellite from ages ago. Don't let that spellbound you. A lot of things can happen and they will. Being spellbound is a distraction and it wastes time. People will say things to shock you and make your decision-making difficult. Ignore what they say when they have these intentions. When they do this, the best decision to make probably affects them negatively. For example, a competitor opens a shop next door and he says, "You will never be able to beat my prices." He wants you to keep your prices higher so as not to get the customers. Lack of concern for the welfare of self and others. It is really antisocial not to help others and take care of yourself. Therefore, it is considered stupid and disrespectful to society. Failure to see or remember the desire to change themselves, disregarding moral compass. Take your inner voice seriously. You have to remember your goals to do this, and once you remember you don't want to do something when the temptation arises, don't do it. Having an alternative or coming up with an alternative is good. Regard your moral compass as sacred and important. Taking things out of context. Get the whole picture of what is being conveyed. Don't just assume something from one thing that is said. Pay attention to the whole attitude or belief or view. Plus, giving in to temptation, and being morally unsound. Naivete. You can't trust anyone. Get contracts. You can't do anything without collateral or a contract. To do business on a handshake is naive. Hyped emotions out of check. Everyone should beware of getting hyped up, and most especially control your emotional reactions and don't be emotionally driven without thought. Don't write a check out to the individual owner when working with a company. Challenging too much or not challenging at all. Challenging too much could embarrass, insult, and anger someone. It is good to only lay down 3 supporting facts at a time to support your view. Plus, challenging too much can waste time and cause people to lose interest. Challenging too little, people will not be swayed towards your view. Having a conscientious objection or being stubborn can be bad. Sometimes people get stuck in their beliefs. Everyone should keep an open mind and they should not discredit information based on their present beliefs. Failure to question is a bad thing. What helps is you don't have to accept what is being suggested right away, but at least listen. Having a lack of concern or being uncaring is bad. You should care, and not only care, you should get involved. At least by saying something and putting your 2 cents in. Do not filter your mind. Take all evidence into account. Don't discredit some of the information you receive. Using trace evidence that does not really hold proof. Consider trace evidence for what it is and realize trace evidence is just superficial. Do not jump to conclusions. Do not assume and predict based on the first thought. Don't use too little evidence. Sometimes evidence will guide you, but there may be more possibilities. For example, someone was at the crime scene. It doesn't mean they committed the crime. There may have also been another person there at the time that actually committed the crime. Plus, the person that you know was there may not even have known a crime was committed. Don't overcommit. For example, a landlord wants to buy another home on credit. If he has one home and he can afford to maintain one that is paid off but wants another home for more income, He has to ask himself if he has enough income to afford a loan on a new home if he can't rent out that home for say 3 months or more along with the one he owns. Spontaneous actions without considering them. Even on the battlefield. If two sides are fighting and there are a lot of men wounded in the middle of the front and the fighting stops, it is good to let the soldiers or medics get the men. If you don't, your side will pay with bad propaganda. Being overly submissive is a bad thing. People need to speak up when needed. Otherwise, people could walk all over you, they will overwork you, and they will oppress you. Failure to anticipate or predict the outcome of any circumstance is bad. Learn how to predict the future. Having confusing thoughts is bad. Don't consider two actions at once. Once you decide and pick an option, forget about the other option. Organize or compartmentalize, and put things in chronological order, prioritize, and don't have conflicting thoughts. Don't be incongruous. Being all rational with no emotional consideration for others. Misdeeds, whether purposeful or accidental, we should pay attention to our moral compass and what we are doing. Consider ethics and be mindful. Conflict of interests, for example, for a preacher's son to marry the daughter of a divorce attorney. Placing too much importance on things and not people. Accepting you are a stupid person is stupid. You would have labeled yourself. It brings down your confidence in yourself to change. Therefore, it is a curse. Don't curse yourself. Don't admit, label, or accept you are a certain way. It is harmful to yourself. Don't cut yourself down and be too tough on yourself. One-sided some things or views are very similar. Meaning two views are both correct. Don't be blinded by your views and evidence to not accept that both parties are right. For example, we need to save money on taxes and the government should not spend a lot. Others may believe we need to spend a lot as an investment to save money in the long run and the money will recirculate into the economy. So, any program saving lives saves money, which is equal to not spending money. Choosing self-harming goals, hatred of self and others. Do be an alcoholic harms you and the people around you. Especially if you promote getting drunk. It is stupid. It shortens your life, harms quality of life and harms others by causing the same in others. Racism. Everyone is an individual. Only statistics should be considering race and to do so with the goal of improving things for all races. To stereotype and to possibly hate from statistics is to forget about the individual you might meet. Comedy also has its place with race consideration because it does stereotype sometimes, but it is designed to help matters. Indifference. Your brain does not get too full. It can get distracting, but it does not get too full to have a reason for indifference. You should care about all aspects of life. If you are unsure, admit it, by asking enlightening questions. You should still care. Overly trusting or blind faith. People should earn your trust. Don't just follow someone's lead because they have a lot of money or wear a suit. You have to believe in them through their actions and words. Hatred for people, not wrongful actions. Hate people's actions if you should or must, but not the person themselves. I am convinced people continue bad behavior that causes people to hate because people hate the person. How can we get the person to change? Love them would be a good start. Covetous. You will never be happy if you want more, and more all the time. Sit back and have content with what you have or enjoy what you have. It could be time with someone you love. Too much infuses on what others think. Having your own pride and satisfaction is important over that. Or if you are concerned with your reputation instead of fixing the problem that caused the reputation to occur. Stop bad behavior. Accept that some things are out of your control. If you try to explain away what happened or didn't happen, it may just draw more negative attention to yourself. Illusory superiority is a condition of cognitive bias wherein a person overestimates their own qualities and abilities in relation to the same qualities and abilities of other people. New evidence has associated illusory superiority with negative effects on the individual. It used to be considered good mental health. Above average effect, the superiority bias, the leniency error, the sense of relative superiority, the primus inter pares effect 1 and the Lake-Wobegon effect. The Dunning-Kruger effect is a cognitive bias 2 whereby people with low ability, expertise, or experience regarding a certain type of task or area of knowledge tend to overestimate their ability or knowledge. Better than average heuristic. Egocentrism. This is the idea that an individual places greater importance and significance on their own abilities, characteristics, and behaviors than those of others. Focalism. The idea that greater significance is placed on the object that is the focus of attention. Conservatism bias or overconfidence. Readjustment of estimates of our own performance after our own performance are adjusted differently than the readjustments regarding estimates of others' performances. Estimates of the scores of others are even more conservative, more influenced by the previous expectation, than our estimates of our own performance, more influenced by the new evidence received after giving the test. The difference in the conservative bias of both estimates, conservative estimate of our own performance, and even more conservative estimate of the performance of others, is enough to create illusory superiority. Addiction. Know your triggers, avoid them, and think of consequences and why you like them. Find a sponsor. Make that firm decision to quit. Set a quit date. Cut back until then or go cold turkey. Your recovery actually starts then. Ride that wave of the urge, it goes away. Distract yourself from the thought of the drug / hot. Take a deep breath, and meditate. Slow down. Instead, think of your feelings or thoughts when a craving occurs. Set that goal at a NA or support group meetings. Feel good about abstinence and that success. Find a hobby or alternative action. Avoid temptation. Forget that high. Don't be too tough on yourself if you relapse. Remember your quit date. Be proud of it. Tell friends and family for support. You may want a fiduciary, or hide the money in a savings account from yourself. May have to avoid certain friends or places. Lead a balanced life. Planning, work, food, and hydration, good sleep, exercise, interaction, relaxation, entertainment, alone time, hobbies, reading, and rest. Accept my prayer. Quit it. You can do it. Selective recruitment is the notion that an individual selects their own strengths and the other's weaknesses when making peer comparisons, in order that they appear better on the whole. Self versus aggregate comparison suggests that when making comparisons, any single member of a group will tend to evaluate themselves to rank above that group's statistical mean performance level or the median performance level of its members. The better than average effect may not have wholly social origins rather than individuals consciously reviewing and thinking about their own abilities, behaviors, and characteristics and comparing them to those of others. It is likely that people instead have what they describe as an automatic tendency to assimilate positively evaluated social objects toward ideal trait conceptions. Judgments about inanimate objects suffer similar distortions. Alick, Mark D. Govoran, Olishaya, 2005. The better than average effect. In Alick, Mark D., David A. Dunning, Joaquin Y. Kruger, eds. The Self in Social Judgment. Studies in Self and Identity. Psychology Press. Pages 85 to 106. ISBN 978-1-84169-418-4. OCLC 58054791. The bias blind spot is the cognitive bias of recognizing the impact of biases on the judgment of others, while failing to see the impact of biases on one's own judgment. 1 Pronin, E. Lin, D. White, Ross, L. 2002. The Bias Blind Spot, Perceptions of Bias in Self versus Others. Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin. 28, 369 to 381 doi 10.1177/014616720228600A S2 SID 14259317 Wikipedia.com. Being gullible, easily convinced, swayed, or bewildered into false beliefs all boils down to trusting the wrong person or group. Being irritable can be not feeling good. Someone may feel bad because you didn't eat, or substances, or lack of achievement. So, eat, stop using substances and let your goals go. Physical and mental condition can be helped with medication. Unaware of surroundings, failure to inform, asking the wrong questions, failure to finish or conclude, unorganized, failure to support, and failure to introduce a topic. Being dependent on someone or something. Everyone should have a backup plan if you are dependent on someone or something. Being vague, include who, what, when, where, and why when communicating. Introduce the subject and point, support your point, and make a conclusion. Recall difficulty can occur when you don't recall on a regular basis. Try recalling moments of your day as you go through life and when you lay down to sleep. Just take a few minutes to reflect. Failure to accept advice. So, many people have to learn the hard way, making mistakes. If they would only listen to their parents in most cases. Using improper channels for a goal. For example, to break the rules or law or offending someone to get what you want is stupid. Taking shortcuts. The word shortcuts in business, for example, doesn't cover all angles and aspects and tasks of a needed goal. In other words, it is bad to omit important steps to take for your success at goals. Otherwise, your goals may appear complete when they really are insufficient. Failure to take serious things seriously. If you have a serious problem, you have to recognize it. You also need to act on it. To not act on a problem is okay if it is out of your control, but take certain things seriously. Don't make light of things that will impact you negatively. Failure to consider comparisons. It is good to compare things. For example, in the real estate market or auto sales, it is good to compare prices of similar quality, age, size, and location. Forgetfulness, write things down or have your secretary take notes and review the notes at the opportune time and use them as reference. Panicking, don't panic. To panic is to look at the worst case scenario and imagine the worst case scenario happening. Then, experiencing physical defects from the distress. If you can try to think of the solution to the problem instead of concentrating on the apparently bad possibilities, it helps. Don't be easily intimidated or scared. Uninformed, do your research in your decision making. Use the determining factors. Not taking the time. Sometimes it is good to let an unimportant task go to take the time to do more important things or wrap up a project. Being biased, you can't please everyone. Being biased. Try to be utilitarian and concerned with others' happiness. Being biased is choosing a side, and not every single thing a side believes in is 100% correct. Like I said before, compromise sometimes. Being selfish. Don't be selfish. Consider the emotions and well-being of others and you will receive their support. Being selfish is oftentimes obvious to others and not yourself in that respect. Failure to recognize self-worth. You are doing more than your skill set every day, and your skill set is important, otherwise people would not pay for it. Failure to hold out. Sometimes people compromise too much when they should not. See your profit margin you need to achieve and don't give things away or lose money. Donations and charity are another story. Ruminating too much. It is not good to think about negative things in your life too long. It is true some people love to complain, but that never helps. If you do, you have confirmed. Do something to change the negative things in your life. For example, get off the suckers list. Even have to quit 12 jobs in a row. Change your reputation with proper action. Skepticism is bad. Get informed. Being predictable. Mix things up sometimes. Don't be so predictable when using a strategy. Psychosis, antisocial, hatred, assuming guilt, lack of exercise, lack of nourishment, inconsistent, overconfidence, wasting time on simple goals, inconsiderate, spontaneous. Failure to categorize. Looking toward the future too much. Intimated fear of God and fearful enough to do the right thing is good. Don't be afraid of people. Not seeing the usefulness of something or someone. Trying to lie, don't lie. The sooner you stop lying, the less likely you will be caught. Sometimes the best thing to do is apologize for whatever started the need to lie and reassure those around you it won't happen again. Then, don't let it happen again. Failure to see or take advantage of the opportunity. Alone attitude. You don't have to do it yourself. Poor time management. Set up a routine. Do things at the time it makes sense to do them. Repeated failure to learn or try a better course of action from ones that didn't work in a particular situation in the past. Lack of resilience. You need to try to pull yourself together when finding out bad news or realizing you have failed. It is stupid to cry when you drive, for example. Volunteering information. Volunteering too much information is bad. People may relay information you give them. It takes up time. It causes distractions from what is important at the time. Being unbalanced. Exercise, sleep, work, play, meditation, relaxation, entertainment. Setting too high of a goal for others and self. Wandering thoughts. Don't allow your thoughts to wander while completing a task. Always pay attention to what you're doing and your goals. Remember and meet your obligations. Rushing. Rushing will cause mistakes and you need to warm up and cool down your body when working. Horses will typically die if they don't cool down slowly. This is why the last leg of travels with a horse should be walking or walk them after the arrival. You need to pace yourself throughout work or you could get exhausted by the end of the day. Lack of empathy. To have empathy and care about others' feelings, you will win favor. To not desire favor is stupid and it harms others. To treat somebody else's feelings as insignificant. Lust. To lust is to distract yourself from real-time tasks. The euphoria you receive from lusting will impair your judgment. It will also cause fatigue and what we call blue balls, which goes deeper than sore balls. It also causes belly aches. What happens is dopamine is released in your blood and it has to be expelled by your kidneys. Without a release, it hurts and this can be distracting and upsetting. Wait for the moment to get turned on. Failure to adapt to situations. We all need to be prepared to adapt. Constrained in action or verbally. Sometimes you have to act or speak up. Lack of respect. To have no respect for older people or your leader, mentor, or professional working for you is stupid. Being incited into misbehavior. Acting wrongly out of desperation. Falling into a comfort zone. We all want to feel secure, but we also need to set and accomplish goals and grow. Make new friends. Get out of the house. Do different things. Have concentration, alertness, and caring in everyday life. Use critical thinking. Insert determining factors in your observations. Attain knowledge, and be informed. Be subjective, and consider observation, experience, reflection, reasoning, or communication, interpretation, analysis, evaluation, and inference, as well as an explanation of the evidential, conceptual, methodological, soteriological, criteriological, use relative knowledge for judgment, or contextual considerations using reason, logic, reflective skepticism, and probability application. Keep your emotions in check. It is all right to experience emotions, but you have to limit your emotions at first to prevent yourself from overreacting. Especially, control your emotions at first when angry. Think of a solution and avoid revenge. Make up with your fuss. Consider values, attitudes, and personal philosophy, emotions caused. New thoughts to consider are creativity, imagination, discovery, reflection, empathy, connecting knowing, feminist theory, subjectivity, ambiguity, and inconclusiveness. Be inquisitive and curious, open-minded to different sides. You should think systematically, analytically, persistently to truth, where the consequences can be bad. Everyone wants to be able to react fast, but always think your actions through. Think twice. A lack of compassion is a bad thing. Confident about critical thinking, and mature. Consider whether the conclusion is ampliative, probable, or deductive, almost certain. Be creative. Understand the decision or outcome of the conclusion is not for you alone. Understand that other cultures' perspectives might be different. Be rational, skeptical, and unbiased. Use linear, lateral, convergent, and divergent thought. Linear thinkers view a problem as a process with a set starting point that follows a sequence of connected series, ultimately leading to a solution. It's also known as sequential thinking because it follows a stepwise progression. The thoughts flow in a straightforward, logical way, and progress in a stepwise fashion. Lateral thinking is a manner of solving problems using an indirect and creative approach via reasoning that is not immediately obvious. It involves ideas that may not be obtainable using only traditional step-by-step logic. Convergent thinking occurs when the solution to a problem can be deduced by applying established rules and logical reasoning. This type of reasoning involves solving a problem within the context of known information and narrowing down the solution based on logical inference. Divergent thinking is a thought process or method used to generate creative ideas by exploring many possible solutions. It typically occurs in a spontaneous, free-flowing, nonlinear manner, such that many ideas are generated in an emergent cognitive fashion. For example, the idea to change a sales tactic from sell a product with a description or cost to selling the product to help, empathy, and find out what the customer wants or needs. Don't forget exceptions and extenuating circumstances. Put two and two together. Take appropriate action or leave things the way they are. Confident about critical thinking, and mature. Consider whether the conclusion is ampliative, probable, or deductive, almost certain. Be creative. Understand the decision or outcome of the conclusion is not for you alone. Understand that other cultures' perspectives might be different. Be rational, skeptical, and unbiased. Use linear, lateral, convergent, and divergent thought. Linear thinkers view a problem as a process with a set starting point that follows a sequence of connected series, ultimately leading to a solution. It's also known as sequential thinking because it follows a stepwise progression. The thoughts flow in a straightforward, logical way, and progress in a stepwise fashion. Lateral thinking is a manner of solving problems using an indirect and creative approach via reasoning that is not immediately obvious. It involves ideas that may not be obtainable using only traditional step-by-step logic. Convergent thinking occurs when the solution to a problem can be deduced by applying established rules and logical reasoning. This type of reasoning involves solving a problem within the context of known information and narrowing down the solution based on logical inference. Divergent thinking is a thought process or method used to generate creative ideas by exploring many possible solutions. It typically occurs in a spontaneous, free-flowing, nonlinear manner, such that many ideas are generated in an emergent cognitive fashion. For example, the idea to change a sales tactic from sell a product with a description or cost to selling the product to help, empathy, and find out what the customer wants or needs. Don't forget exceptions and extenuating circumstances. Put two and two together. Take appropriate action or leave things the way they are.